So 2015 and where we are today in our partnership. We have decided in 2015 to bring a whole new science to the storytelling that GE and Fullscreen are collaborating on together. We partnered to basically create a new program called Creator in Residence, where we are just together discovering and elevating a rising creator, a rising science creator, and plugging into topics that are rooted in pop culture and entertainment. The idea behind this is to foster a love for all things science and really bring in new audiences, these millennial audiences, and help them understand why there's such power in science, and more importantly, to get to know and become more familiar with the GE brand. So what we did was we scoured the social web looking for influencers that embodied the GE brand name and personality, someone who was very credible but had a really powerful voice, that had an authentic ability to relate to audiences. But we wanted this to be a rising creator, someone that, when you're leveraging a Slow-Mo Guys or ASAP Science, who have millions and millions of views with every video they hit, they don't have the bandwidth or the time in their day to really become a voice for a channel. And that was part of our goal here, was to leverage this personality, this rising creator, to become a voice for the GE channel. So we knew we had to get someone who would be receptive to and have the time to do a project or a program like this. And we actually found a woman that we sort of all fell in love with. She had a smaller YouTube channel called Shed Science. She was based in Oxford. She actually is getting her PhD at Oxford. So we literally plucked her out of there, convinced her advisor to let her come and work with GE and Fullscreen for a couple of months for this year. And what she was excited about was she spent a lot of time getting to know the GE brand and what GE is trying to tell the world. And she believed in it, and she believed that she could tell an authentic story, and she could spend 8 weeks of her life really getting up close and personal with what's happening in science and with GE. So we created a 3-part series. The first is what we call Fiction Fast Forward. And this is essentially taking audiences behind real science in movies. We looked at some of the biggest releases in 2015, including Pitch Perfect, Inside Out, Tomorrowland, and Mad Max, which I'll show you a clip of in a minute. And we, again, looked at what some of the innovations and the technology that GE is focused on and telling stories about. And we found very authentic ways to weave this GE messaging into this content. But the goal of the content was really to educate, to inspire, and to tell the story around something so relevant like movies. The second part of the series was what we call breaking science. And this was really taking some of what's trending in science today and telling the stories around it, making it more relatable, helping consumers understand it. We covered topics like CRISPR and I think one of the ways we drew consumers in was talking about, will there ever be really a cure for AIDS and for cancer? We can help you figure that out. And so how do we sort of break into these audiences and want to pull them into science? And that was part of the goal with this Breaking Science series. And then the third piece of the series was what we call special reports. And this is where we really had Sally on the ground working closely with GE, their engineers, their inventors, essentially everyone at your company, and really understanding the technology and innovations that GE is bringing forth. And Sally on her own found ways to tell compelling stories that she felt audiences would resonate with. And the example that's shown here is actually the science behind barbecue, and basically helping audiences understand what happens to your brain when you eat certain foods. And again, so all these 3 series really were leveraging topics that are relevant across any type of millennial audience, and again, really getting that science story told and getting consumers drawn in.
Can I say something quick?
You could play the sizzle. This sizzle of, actually before you play the Mad Max, I'll tell you a couple of quick things about this. So again, Sally is a rising science creator. We knew that in order to bring a rising science creator to the helm and really have her tell more engaging stories with more meaningful audiences, we needed to leverage some of the more traditional celebrities, whether they are actual science celebrities like Bill Nye and Neil deGrasse Tyson, as well as leveraging more YouTube famous celebrities like you'll see in this video, Brittany Louise Taylor, who's one of the most popular women's YouTube personalities out there on the web. And so we created these sort of collaborations to create some more legitimacy and credibility in the science space, as well as to create some legitimacy and authenticity with these millennial audiences, again, leveraging BLT. And again, the science behind this was really sort of tackling the big question that comes out of the movie if you actually go and see it, which is, can this Mad Max apocalypse really happen?
I think that's it.
just at a time, unless anyone has any questions.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Katrina, can you,
Yes.
there are a couple of different marketing objectives happening there. There are a few different things happening from a marketing perspective. Can you talk about Lyft at all, GE, and the success that they've seen with some of the programs?
I would say, I don't know that we've done, we should have, I don't know that we've done a direct Lyft study, but what I will say is that we're looking at traditional things like engagement. So, you're not going to get a ton of sharing on YouTube. So what you want to do is co-opt the right creator audiences, but then we see engagement rates much higher. And the other thing that we see is the response from the audience. Things like high school students who are now writing into us and saying, I didn't know that you were doing this kind of renewable energy research in Munich. I would like to come and intern with you over the summer, which we never had before, and we need to do a better job of connecting that funnel from a talent standpoint. But when we think about why we do this, there's 4 big things, right? One is a depth of understanding of the brand, understanding our industrial businesses, understanding the research that's happening, reaching the next generation of talent, reaching the next generation of business decision makers. The world of people who make a decision about purchasing a wind turbine or a jet engine is changing. It's much different than we may have thought it was previously. And we're also a very widely held retail stock in the US, and that population is aging. So deepening that understanding from that perspective is what we're thinking about. Yeah, just go ahead.
How does GE approach brand safe concerns or policy with native content from influencers?
Well, so it's a great question. I mean, obviously, the team at Fullscreen is a huge partner to us in that. We work with a very short list of creators, and of course, there's always something could always go wrong, but
not usually.
But not you. It doesn't go wrong. It's all good. But the way that we think about it is we are picking a very short list of people who by the time we get to the deal we trust and who trust us, and who look at the opportunity to come into our labs or into our factories as a really beautiful opportunity for their audience and to create great content. And so we spend a lot of time with the creators, ASAP Science, Nonstop, Sally. I spend time, the team at GE spends time with them to build that relationship, and that's how we look at this. I think that we have to wrap it up. Thank you guys so much.